Now let's go to our political panel. Joining us this morning is Priyanka Rakashinka, forgive me, the Labour MP, along with Erica Stanford from National. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you both here. We'll start with this announcement because you've got a little tidbit for us this morning. This is to do with getting teachers into schools where they don't have enough teachers.
Look, yeah, we know that we've done a huge amount of work to get teachers into training, record levels, and into the classroom, but it can be quite lumpy, especially for our small, rural and isolated schools. And our existing voluntary bonding schemes just haven't been working, and so we're announcing a new one today. I'm bringing you exclusively. Look, it's a $40,000 package. It's the biggest we've offered, ramping up, from year one from about 6,000 right up to 11,000 in the final year. We'll have 185 places a year. We're being a lot more flexible about it. Not only is it new teachers, but it could be highly experienced teachers too. So those small and rural schools who need access to an expert teacher can now use this scheme, and we're making it more flexible for them too. It doesn't have to be a full-time teacher, it could be a 0.3 of a teacher too. So the Rural Schools Association have been lobbying us for this and we're delivering.
Do you know how many schools will benefit?
Look, it'll be one place per year. There's 185 full-time positions, but there might be many who do part-time. Okay. So it'll be prorated. So it could be 185, but it also could be a lot more.
What's the total cost of the package?
We're taking all of the existing packages. I can't remember the exact figure off the top of my head. Isn't that terrible? But it is millions. I know.
You are the education minister, and it's always a test.
It's also early, Look, it is millions. But if you take the teacher bonding, the voluntary bonding scheme, and the better scheme that we currently already have, we're packaging that up. So we're not using any new money. It's existing money and things we're closing down because they're not working, and putting them into a new scheme.
Priyanka, what do you think? Because this is undoubtedly an issue. We talk about schools in Northland, different places who struggle to get teachers into their schools. Do you think this is a good idea?
Look, obviously I've just heard the announcement. We don't know how much it costs either. It sounds like a little bit, too little, too late. A little bit is what I think. Because
you really should have done it when you were in. That's true.
We did a fair bit with teachers, to be fair. But we've heard with the whole new qualification system, people don't know what that is. There's consultation on that. And now the new subjects. We know that teachers have been saying there aren't enough teachers. So, but anything, it's a step in the right direction, but I don't think it's enough.
Okay. You talk about the subject list. Were there subjects on that list that you thought shouldn't be on there?
It's more the delay in announcing what those subjects are is what we're hearing. So the minister's consulting on the qualifications framework, and as teachers say, they're being expected to talk about the way they assess something without knowing the details of what it is that's being assessed.
Should we talk about delays? Because hang on a minute. Most of the subjects that we've... No.
We'll let Priyanka finish her point.
All right, sure.
I know there's also concern for disabled learners. The minister's own cabinet paper says that this will potentially lower attainment rates for neurodiverse communities, disabled learners.
A lot of the subjects we announced were previously announced by Chris Hipkins. So in 2021, Chris Hipkins announced a range of new subjects, of which hardly any they actually implemented. Te ao haka, but he also, for example, announced Pacific Studies and then did nothing about it. There was a whole range of topics and subjects that he announced and then did nothing about.
To be fair to him, all you have done so far is announce a list, right?
But we're writing them right now. They'll be available early next year, term one.
Early next. So when will teachers see them?
Term one next year.
And when will they start teaching them?
Not till 2028, so there's a very long lead-in. So in that time frame, we're putting together a crack team of implementation specialists. We'll be talking to teachers about what they need for really good implementation, lesson plans, PLD days, implementation packs. We're going to do a roadshow, jumbo days. It's going to be quite huge, but actually we're delivering a jumbo day. It's very exciting. It's basically where we do it by subject. So we'll say, right, Pacific Studies, for example, all the teachers who are going to be teaching Pacific Studies will get together and have that discussed with them and unpacked in a Pacific Studies jumbo day.
Well, it sounds like something I wouldn't want to go to, but I'm sure it's fun for teachers. Priyanka, let's talk about, very quickly, your education spokesperson didn't meet with Erica Stanford, but as I just read this morning, has now met with Erica Stanford. Have you had any update from her before coming on the show about what your Labour Party position is? Because she was a bit short on answers about that yesterday.
Look, I know she's raised this very issue of the delay with Erica, and it's based on what teachers are telling her. How do you... the minister's putting the cart before the horse. How do you talk about how you're going to assess something when you don't know what the
All right.
detail of that is.
But we're not
Fair.
talking about how we're assessing it. That comes later. So in terms of
It's
the
the
internals
teaching.
and the externals, that comes later.
All
At,
right.
the point, at this moment, we're just talking about the very broad level of direction of travel, and is that where we want to head?
Minister, why did you invent a controversial fast-track system, and 8 months in, how can you only have one thing that's being approved?
Well, I had a
I
chat
thought
with...
it was meant to be fast.
Well, it's not immediate, it's fast track. And that one project you are talking about is huge for Auckland. It is going to mean enormous economic growth for Auckland, enormous amount of jobs. It's a huge port development, right? So that is important. There's 12 more to come this year. There is 3 that have been done so far. But also, can I just say that, I talked to Chris Bishop about this last night, and he's frustrated around some of the levers that he needs to change. And so he'll be making some minor changes to help speed things up. But look, that's what we are, right? Not a set and forget government. Sometimes things need tweaking, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Priyanka, it's interesting because on the one hand you've got people saying it should be faster. Presumably you guys don't think it should be there at all.
No, we had a fast-track process as well, and they should have just left it the way we did it. Because what the national government has done is to sacrifice environmental safeguards at the altar of so-called speed and efficiency, and now they've got neither.
Well-
So what if the project that has been approved, what environmental problems will we see that would have been prevented by your scheme?
So firstly, environmental safeguards aren't in the purpose statement of the fast-track legislation. PCE, the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment, has pointed this out as well. The Minister for the Environment should be one of the decision-making ministers as well. And there are a number of other safeguards. So projects that override environmental safeguards wouldn't have been allowed under our scheme. It is under theirs. I know that some, like Te Kuha Mine, that are more controversial, have now been ruled out, which is a good thing.
Sounds like it's working.
Well, we had 100 projects that we did under ours, so it should have just left it as it was. Why fix something when it's
Well,
not broken?
let's talk about the Ports of Auckland, though. I mean, that was a project that has taken 50-odd
Far
days.
too long.
It's taken 50 days in order for...
Previously.
Yeah, I know, but now, under us, it's taken 50 days to consent, and we're getting spades
Right.
in the ground. It would have taken 5 years if we hadn't had this.
I want to talk about Taku Te Whereas. Priyanka, when he says stuff like, Māori, the photo that Labour Party posted just paints Māori like they are just another minority ethnic group in New Zealand. He's been told off by his party, not apologising. What do you make of those comments?
Yeah, look, I don't agree with his comments, and I think his party's been pretty clear about that. And they're probably just as damaging as the comments that Erica made about Indians, and Shane Jones has as well. So they're all wrong.
That's really unfair. That's really unfair,
Shouldn't have
Priyanka,
said it.
and you know
Shouldn't have
it.
said it.
And she knows, and you know very well, and it's unfair to bring that up. I was talking about people overseas who email me
Why
asking for
single
jobs.
out
I said
one
like,
country?
and I actually singled out others
Just
as
so
well.
people who aren't across the story, so you received, Minister, a bunch of emails
From overseas.
People asking for jobs or about employment visas.
And I said I don't respond to them, which is fair enough.
You said, yeah, but it was particularly to Indian emails, wasn't it? That's what, and Priyanka, you're saying that's as offensive.
It's all wrong.
Oh, look,
So what do we do? I mean, look, we've got
That's a
to...
completely different situation than Taku Te Whereas. And we've got to remember that these are the people who are going to be sitting around the cabinet table with Labour. These are the people. And if that's what the public are interested in, of course, you can't form a government without them, and you know it. And Hipkins
Right.
won't rule them out, and that's the problem.
Okay, here's the thing. I think people at home, they'll be going, oh, what are we doing? Ryan, come on, pull it back. We have these arguments, these sort of like race arguments we have, and over in the States there's like another political assassination. At what point are politicians from all parties going to just step up and be a bit more normal? Priyanka?
We all should, because the minute you have a platform, your words matter. And so all of us should be saying things that bring communities together and not be divisive. So people should absolutely expect us to do better.
Yeah, well, look, nobody wants to live in a country where we have this awful division. And it's been going on for a really long time, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And everybody wants to live in a country where we all get on, we are one people, we're one, we are New Zealanders, and we're kind to each other. So, look, I haven't made any comments about Taku Te Whereas at all. I think people will judge those for themselves.
We'll leave it there. Guys, thanks very much for coming in this morning. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
That is Priyanka Radhakrishnan from Labour and Erica Stanford.